Hello and welcome to another Nikke video. D's new skill kit is officially released and I will be discussing it. Please leave a like and a sub and I hope you enjoy the video. So here is the new unit, D killerwife. Her squad is Peerless Siege, type supporter, weapon sniper rifle, first skill 1, code fire. Skill 1 is a passive called calm sniping. Activates when attacking with full charge for 3 times. Affects self. Gain pierce for 1 round. Activates when entering full burst. Affects all allies with a sniper rifle. Pierce damage up 13.55% for 10 seconds. Looking at the first part of skill 1, she has to fully charge 3 times in order for this gain 1 pierce effect to actually go ahead and be applied to her. There are other units in the game that basically don't require this condition. For example, there'd be like Red Hood and also Alice. Red Hood always being active, where with Alice you need to be a certain HP threshold in order for the gain pierce to be constantly active. There are other units also in the game that have a similar mechanic to this. For example, Haran and Elysion. They both have to fully charge a shot, but it's only 1 shot, where right here for D, she needs 3 full charge shots. But luckily, they do not have to land. So as long as you just basically have a full charge shot and just release a shot, since there are some enemies that leave the screen, you could just go ahead and just do a full charge shot and just release it. That way you could get this prep for whenever the enemy is on the screen. All right, next up, we're going to look at the second part of skill 1. A pierce damage. This is actually a totally new effect. No other Nikke has this in the game. She is the very first Nikke in the game to include this pierce damage up, which is actually very, very beneficial for other units besides D having this effect gaining on the first part of skill 1. There are other units in the game that actually have it, which I already mentioned earlier, which would be like Red Hood and Alice, and only that, Haran, Elysion, there's others as well. For example, Naga as well, since she actually does gain pierce with her kit too. What this is also going to allow is pretty much all of those units I just mentioned to get even more damage to their kits, since pretty much pierce, what it does, it goes through every single enemy that it hits, and only that, for any boss that has multiple parts, this also will go through every single part of those enemies too. So for example, even Snow White, she'll become even stronger since Snow White's burst also has pierce as well. Skill 2, Assault Formation, is also passive. Activates when attacking with full charge for 8 times. Affects all allies. Cooldown of burst skill, 7 seconds. Activates when attacking with full charge for 5 times. Affects all allies. Attack damage up 5.06% for 10 seconds. Okay, so looking at the first part of skill 2, so yes, we do have another burst 1 cooldown reduction unit, which is always welcome to this game. We don't have too many of them, so having another one that's available for us for solo raid or union raid is always fantastic. And only that, the condition for her to actually even activate her cooldown reduction here is she has to fire 8 full charge shots, which unfortunately by default she only has 6 per reload. So until you have an overloaded gear with the max ammo stats or an ammo cube applied to her, unfortunately this is only going to apply every other reload. But once you have those 2 things that I just mentioned, it's going to be applying every single reload, which is going to help the team tremendously. I mean, there are other units that have cooldown reduction as well for burst 1. For example, Leader, she is a prime example. If not, there's also Volume and also Tia as well. Leader and Volume, you need multiple bursts in order to maximize their cooldown reduction. As for Tia, you need to make sure her cover is damaged in order for her to actually apply that burst cooldown reduction. And also as well, please keep in mind with Tia as well, it only affects herself. With the other units and also D as well, it affects all allies. But of course, have any burst cooldown reduction will benefit the team tremendously. So this is always a welcome addition here. And now looking at the second part of her skill 2 here. Yes, this is also wonderful as well, since there are other few units in the game that already do this as well. For example, Tia, I already mentioned her earlier. She also has attack damage up and also Helm as well. Those are the 2 units that apply it to all allies. There are also a few other units as well that also do have attack damage up. Unfortunately, they are selfish and they only apply it to themselves. For example, Maid Privity and also Small White. They also do have attack damage up, but it's only applies to themselves. But right now, it's basically Tia, Helm, and now D. They also have attack damage up being applied to the whole team, which pretty much having any form of attack damage up is always beneficial, since it's going to allow you to clear the stages much more faster. And only that, get a little bit higher on Union raid and Solo raid as well. Also, please keep in mind that you have to have 5 full charge shots as well. So luckily, since she has 6 ammo, she's able to do this every single reload. So this, you don't have to worry about missing out on this. Every single reload, this will apply. Her burst skill, called Kill the Target, is a 20-second cooldown. Affects the enemy nearest to the crosshairs. Deals 269.28% of final attack as additional damage. Inflicts wipeout on the target for 10 seconds. Activates when allies' normal attacks hit a certain area of the target afflicted with wipeout. Affects all allies. Buff takes effect depending on the area hit. Allies that hit parts, damage dealt when attacking core up 16.26% for 10 seconds. Allies that hit the body attack up 12.19% of caster's attack for 10 seconds. Looking at the first part of her burst skill here, she does not have an AoE burst. Her burst only affects one single unit, and it's pretty much going to be the only unit that she's actually aiming at. So if you're aiming at a little mob or just something else, like maybe just like a destroyable projectile, unfortunately you might miss out on the burst if you have the auto burst on. But luckily you're actually able to aim where you want this. So since I know there are other Nikkes where you cannot aim where your burst wants to go, it pretty much just randomly chooses whatever raptors on the field. But luckily for D, you're able to actually choose who to apply the burst on, or if not, I mean, you can leave it auto and she can just pick herself. And also there's this brand new mechanic added to Nikke as well. So she's the first one to be added. Two brand new mechanics. Inflicts wipeout on the target for 10 seconds. And how it's applied is depending on where D is aiming. And right here, reading the second part of the skill, pretty much it tells us a little bit more information. So it says buff takes effect depending on the area hit. So it's either going to be the parts or the body. And I'm assuming how they categorize each of these two lines here at the bottom is going to be, if it's a breakable part, it's going to be part of the part line there. Or if it's not a breakable part, for example, like let's say you're fighting just a regular enemy, it's going to be part of the body line there. So for example, there's a lot of bosses in the game, for example, like Nihilister, Gravedigger, Mother Whale, for example, where some of them have like very, very big breakable parts and some of them have, very small bodies, where others are vice versa. For example, Mother Whale. Depending on where D is aiming, that's where these conditions are going to go into effect. And also looking for the first part of the second skill here, where the damage dealt when attacking for core up is always fantastic, since actually Naga, I think there is a few other Nikkes as well that actually have this, but I know Naga is one that's very, very well known, which now actually apply even more of the damage dealt when attacking core. So actually, if you have a few other units as well that focuses on the core, for example, like Maxwell or also Snow White, where pretty much they could charge their attacks and they could go in and unleash it, and yeah, so that way you could get even more damage to the core, and you could very easily just clear the stage even faster than before. But in terms for the body here, which unfortunately for the body, it is the caster's attack, so unfortunately you don't get any of the special buffs or anything applied to this attack up. But of course, I mean, having any other attack up is always nice, but you do have to keep in mind, she is a supporter unit, and the supporters do not have that big of an attack, so at least it is something. I wish it would have been final attack, since it would have actually been better for the whole team, but luckily it's better than nothing. So at least you do get a small buff in there, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't mind that additional 12% damage for the whole team. Now for my final thoughts. Looking at Dee's overall kit, it is a very wonderful kit. She applies a lot of unique things to the game, for the pierce damage up and also for wipeout as well. But on top of that, she actually applies a lot of buffs to the whole team, which are going to be extremely beneficial for whatever team you put in there. I mean, looking at what's available here, it might actually be Tia and Naga being the most beneficial. If not, you can also put the bunnies, but I think there's a lot of things that are going to benefit the schoolgirls more than the bunnies. But either way, having her on another team is always going to be beneficial. And all that is going to be another wonderful addition to the Union Raid and Solo Raid teams as well. And from what I can see from everything here, I'm pretty sure she's going to be a must-pull unit. I mean, there is a lot of things that are going to benefit the whole team. The main claim to fame here, what's going to be the cooldown of the burst. That is always wonderful to have another option to select for a team. And all of that, the pierce damage as well, attack damage, this new wipeout mechanic, depending on where she's aiming, is going to go ahead and give you even additional damage for the whole team. I can easily see her being placed in multiple Union Raid and Solo Raid teams. I also have a strong feeling you're going to see this unit more and more as time goes on, unless there's another unit that totally does even more stuff than D does here. But if you had to pull or not, I would recommend pulling on this unit. But just to also know as well that she is not a limited unit. She will be putting back into the regular pool. So even if you don't want to pull for her now, if you want to keep saving for maybe the half anniversary that's coming up in a few months, or maybe for a collab or something like that, you could totally save up, since she is never going to go away from the game. She's permanently in the game, and you can pick her up at any time. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Hopefully you guys are really excited about this unit, and I would actually like to know if you're going to be pulling on this unit or not as well. For sure, I'm going to go ahead and pull on D here to see if I can go ahead and take her home. Even if her kit wasn't that good, I would still do it since I'm a collector. I know there's a lot of you that only want really strong units, and what I'm looking at here, she is looking like a very, very strong unit, a very, very good supporter that's going to help a lot of teams out. But other than that, that is pretty much it for the video. Thank you for watching it. I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a sub. That would really help me a lot. I'm Scrublord, and I'll see you on the next one.